You're listening to The Hurtlocker, the podcast that opens the door on men's mental health. And tonight's guest is none other than local lad, Gary Hyland. Gary, welcome to The Hurtlocker.
Nice one. Thanks for having me.
No, nice one for being on. I mean, was it you that wanted to come on here, or did Tim seek it out first and foremost?
Do you know what? I've had a couple of conversations with the likes of Leon and know a few people who've been on. So it came up in conversation. They were saying, you know, would you ever go on? And I was like, of course I would. And then Tim reached out to me. So it was as if someone had already had the conversation on my behalf. So I appreciated it.
I'm going to dive in, but what's attracted you then to talking about mental health?
It's a mad one, really, because mental health, it's obviously massively important now. I think it's changed over the years, in my personal life, in my professional life, and in my comedy life. You see mental health touch people in different ways. So I just love having conversations about it. Just speaking with someone like yourself, like-minded, who can just talk real life stories. So it's just nice to have that conversation, because in everyday life, it's difficult to have these level of conversations. And I think it's important to talk. So yeah, just wanted to come on and have a little chat.
Nice one. For the benefits of people who can't deduce, like I said, Gary's a local lad from over the water, which I like to call the dark side.
Behave yourself, man. Where do you live?
Me, at this moment of time, I'm undercover, but let's just say the South End.
I'm not from the dark side, lad. born and bred Socky, me, lad.
Was you?
Well, it's on the outskirts. So when I was born, we lived on Gladstone Road, on the just off Waverty Road, so Edgehill.
I know.
Yeah, and then we moved to Kenny. We had a pub on Kenny, and then I grew up. Yes, my mum and dad had the pub, the Royal Arch. That's where my dad passed when we lived in the Royal Arch. And then we moved on, and then I grew up on Smithdown. So Smithdown, my whole life. So Smith Valley Lane. So Smithdown Lane.
I know Smithdown Lane, by where the cop shop used to be and all.
Yeah, and that's it. Literally 81 Smithdown Lane, over the road from the cop shop by the Matlock pub. That's where I grew up. And then when I moved out to my mum's, I went and lived down Grove Park on the bottom of Lodge Lane.
I know.
Yeah. And then that's it, lad. And then when I became an adult and met my partner and stuff, I moved up to towards West Derby ways now. So now I'm on the dark side.
Okay. You know what? Forgive me then, because I seen one of your skits about the amount of children you had, and at the end of it, you said, "You know what's evil? Living in Rock Ferry." So I just automatically assumed.
Do you know what that was? Right? There was, when we were on stage, there was a woman. So the MC who was hosting the night that night, there was a woman on the side of the stage. The stage left, who was just giving him grief all night. She wouldn't shut up. She was just running her mouth. So I got talking to her and I found out she was from Rock Ferry, and I was like, "Like, you're getting a little tramp there."
Yeah,
that's all it was. That's all it was. Yeah.
That's all it was. Okay.
I wouldn't show my face if I was on Rock Ferry, lad.
You know what? Nice vibe off you. Definitely nice vibe off you. And you know what? I don't even know you. This is the first time we met. We're like 4 minutes into it. And it's like, maybe I'm preempting our discussion, but you get it.
Yeah.
You get it.
All day. It's mad to get a vibe like that, isn't it?
Yeah. Why do you think it's difficult for us guys to be able to talk about our mental health?
I don't know. It's like, I don't want to be cliche, because obviously everyone says there's a stigma and, you know, men are too proud to talk and stuff. That's the crux of it, innit? Like, men seem to try and be the pillar of society. You know, they carry the family, they carry everything. They don't want to show any signs of weakness, as they call it. But I think that, do you know what? I think I think we're not just the day we're in now where more people talk about it. I think generational. I think you go for your Gen X, your Gen Z, your millennials, and all that. I think now it's more common, and it's still sort of the older people who are still struggling a little bit. And I think even though people talk about mental health more now, I think the older generation who are living now in this generation of it's easy to talk, I think that makes it worse for them because there's pressure for them to open up, but because they're
Okay.
not cut from that cloth, they find it
Okay.
more difficult, you know. And I've I've suffered mentally over the years, um, and for a large part of my sort of teenage years up to the early adult years, I wouldn't speak about it, just held it all in. Um, and then there was a breaking point, and I flipped, and I went through therapy and stuff, and I just went the complete opposite way now. Now I'm just an open book, and I'll talk to anybody about anything. Um, so I've been fortunate enough to just have that flip without any struggle, you know. But I
Okay.
think, yeah, a lot of people will struggle with.
Okay. I want to come back to that, what you just
Mhm.
said then. But I'm imagining, how old were you when you were growing up in the boozer in Kenny and that?
Um, Probably from the age of 2 to the age of 5.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So 3 years, I
Okay.
think it was, we were in the boozer.
Okay. And you said our fella sadly passed away
Yeah,
when you were there then.
yeah, yeah.
Can you recall how you felt? I mean, there's that fine age of between 5 and 6 when children realize that death is a permanency and that you're our fella, your mum, your dad, whoever, your loved one's not coming back.
Yeah.
Is there any way you can recollect how that felt for you or what you observed?
It was a difficult one because my dad took his own life. Um, and what scares me more than anything now is like I've got 4 kids now, and like me daughter will be 16 next month, and her memory is ridiculous. She can recall things that happened when she was 2, 3 years of age to like the finite detail. But when I look back and try and think back on my dad, I've maybe got 2, 3 loose memories, and that's it. Um, so I don't recall a lot. I have, as I say, there's a couple of occasions. There was a night where I broke my arm when we lived in the pub. I remember that quite vividly. Um, I remember when my dad let me pour my first pint of Guinness behind the bar. I remember that quite vividly. And then um, I have broken memories of the night my dad passed. Um, Obviously, he took his own life in the pub upstairs where we lived. Um, and we were in bed, and he was found, and then the police and the paramedics and everything was there. And I just remember a police officer coming to my bedroom, taking me downstairs to my mum. And we didn't have a house phone then. It was 96. So I remember my mum carrying me. I say I was only 5 in her arms down to the taxi place halfway down Kenny to phone home, phone Ireland. That's where all my family was from. And I remember I was just asking, "Where's my dad? Where's my dad?" My mum was just saying, "He's sick. He's gone to hospital. He's sick." And then she phoned somebody in Ireland, and she just broke down on the phone. My dad was called Robbie, and she just said like, "Oh, Robbie's dead." And I just remember questioning my mum, was like, "You just told me 2 minutes ago he was sick. He's not dead. He's in hospital." Um, and I was never told until this funeral a few weeks later. And apparently, I don't recall this. Apparently, at his open casket, I was asking him to wake up and stuff, but I don't have that sort of memory. But yeah, that's how I sort of remember it, and that's the sort of how I felt at the time. It was a mad one.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that.
No, no problem.
The, the way you just spoke about it then, as if like it rolled, it just rolled off the tongue that
Mm.
your dad took his own life and all that. And I get a sense that you don't imbue yourself with the stigma about suicide. It happened. It's a
Yeah.
reality. It happens to people. But how did people around you, those close, those further away, how did they feel about talking about your old fella and that? And about the fact that he died by suicide?
Uh, it seems to be a very touchy subject. Like people don't like talking about it. Um, I use that. I use humor as a coping mechanism, so I lean into it more, and I'll make a laugh and a joke about it. And it just, I can see it turns people off. Some people laugh along and get on board with it. Other people, it just turns them off. Um, it's weird. I've never really spoke about it to many family members. I've got two brothers. Um, speak to my partner about it and stuff. That's fine. But like my brothers and my mum, we just never really spoke about it. It was one of them things. It happened, and it's sort of made us who we are today. But last year, I was writing a solo comedy show, and I wanted to do something a little bit different. And I called the show Decisions, and it was all about decision making through life from when my mum and dad met up until present day, me as an adult. And it was just the theme was just people making decisions through life. Um, and I touched on my dad's suicide and that. But whilst writing the show, there were so many gaps that I didn't know about my dad and things that I weren't aware of. So I was trying to reach out to different family members to try and garner a bit of information. Um, so last year was probably the most I'd actually spoke to family members about it, and it was interesting to see people's different opinions. Um, say my two brothers, one was 16 and one was 13 when it happened,
Okay.
and it impacted them massively differently. My 16-year-old brother, um, he won't mind me saying this, but he found my dad, and he was trying to hold his legs and lift him up, so he was trying to save him. My other brother, he was 13. He'd had an incident at school on the bus where like he'd spat out the window or something and it landed on a police officer's arm at the light, and the police got on the bus, got a hold of our Dave and took him home. And he had a fight with my dad that night, and he was like, "Oh, I hate you, I hope you die." And then my dad took his life. So that's that's lived with him forever. Um, so when I asked him about like stories of my dad, because he's 43 now, and he said, "I've suppressed everything." He said, "I don't even remember what my dad's face looks like or nothing." He's just pushed it all to the back of his head, and he can't remember a single thing about my dad. So people deal with it differently in the family. So it's a hard one. Like,
Do you think between your two eldest brothers, do you think there's a sense of shame there or a sense of guilt?
um, yeah, I do think so, because obviously my 13-year-old brother at the time, I think he feels massive guilt because he had that argument with my dad. And then my eldest brother, I think my dad was struggling mentally for a while, and they were from Ireland and we were living in Liverpool. And he asked me 16-year-old brother, "Will you move back to Ireland with me? Like, I want to go back to Ireland." And he was like, "Oh, Dad, let me just finish my GCSEs, let me just get school out the way, and then I'll come with you." So I think he feels guilty that he never went with my dad when my dad was crying for help when he needed it. Um, so yeah, I do think they have an element of guilt, feeling like,
And how have you then, because you've become aware of this, because of your own exploration, how have you supported your kids, your brothers, in that sense? Because it's not their fault, you know? They've got
no, it's not.
nothing to be ashamed or guilty of, but because people die.
Yeah, I think I think the hard thing is, like, I'll always be there to have a conversation, but how
Will they
they
be there?
how
That's the key
how
thing.
no, so how they've dealt with the grief and the trauma. So like the 13-year-old brother, he lives in Ireland. He went back to Ireland when he was 16. He was struggling, and he went back to Ireland at 16, and he lives there now, and he's got a healthy family and he's happy. But like, and my dad's buried in Ireland, but he won't visit the grave or nothing. He's cut that off. So conversation about my dad with him just doesn't happen. He's finished with it. With his other brother, um, it's different. It goes through phases. So it used to be quite hostile at first, because he was like, you were 5, you didn't even know him, you didn't have a relationship with him. So he was kind of, you know, deflecting his pain on me as if it was my fault that I didn't know him. Um, and then he'd open up and we'd have a couple of conversations, and it'd be nice, and he'd reminisce on things that my dad done. And then I think a turning point, because my dad was 35 when he died. I think when my older brother reached the age of 36, and he'd kind of outlived my dad in his eyes, and that was another time where it sort of hit him hard, and he regressed a little bit in sort of conversation, but it just goes in phases. But I've never really had deep do you know what? I have more deeper conversations with strangers about it. It's
Yeah.
weird. It's weird. And then I've tried to have conversation with my dad's family, but we sort of clash a little bit over this difference of opinions, because I've gone through a cycle. Early years, I see my dad as very selfish. I said, he didn't. I said he didn't think of his wife and his 3 children he was leaving behind, and that was I was entitled to that opinion because he was my dad, and I was going through the pain I was going through. Um, but then as I become an adult, and I had financial difficulties, I had children of my own, and we faced adversity as a family. Like some of my kids, one of my children couldn't feed from birth and lived in the hospital for 7 months and was like fed through a peg tube in her stomach. And now looking back, it was nothing. It was just a chapter in his book. But at the time, I was questioning why me. I was taking time off work to be in the hospital, and then work weren't paying me wages. So then I was getting behind on bills, and life just started to throw a couple of curveballs my way. Uh, and I've never got to the point where I had suicidal thoughts or anything, but the penny kind of dropped. I was like, okay, now I understand people go
Why
through
why
things.
some people and why some people just say, I can't take no more of this. This is what
Exactly.
you've done.
So I think that was a massive turning point where I had to experience life as an adult to kind of realize the mind space me and my half fellows in effectively. So it was I think that probably coincides with when I started talking more openly about it rather than being a closed book. Because maybe I was quite defensive from the start. I was like, it was his fault. He didn't think of no one, and then I changed.
Between you and your brothers, who's the angriest?
I have to go to the gifts, to be fair. Um, do you know what? Again, it's phases. Um, I've got an anger streak in me, but I think over the last maybe 5 years I've mellowed out massively. My sort of issue resolution is much better now. And again, my middle brother, like, he was a lunatic, and he was a hard knock as well. Like, the amount of scraps and
Fights
straightness
and
and
everything you
mud
get
and being
into.
in.
Yeah.
Like, I've seen him film multiple fellas in on his own, and that was his initial reaction, was just answer with his fists. Um, and now he's probably the most loving, caring person. And even now, like, when there's family dramas, um, and I'll be a bit angry, a bit pissed off about something, and he's just like, "You're an arsehole, so far, just let it go." And I'm like, you were the first to go and punch someone's head in, and now you're all chilled. I was like, what's going on? Um, so I think all of us were angry when we were younger. I think probably the oldest one's probably the angriest still, but he's going through a bit of drama in life. So yeah,
Okay.
probably the older one.
Can I ask about how your ma has coped with it over the years?
I think I think my mum struggled, um, and looking at it from an adult's point of view now, I feel for her. So obviously she's lost a husband, and she's got 3 children to fend for. Um, my dad's family turned against her and kind of blamed her for it.
That
So
stigmatization.
there we
It
go.
was not your fault.
So she was alienated by my dad's family, um, and then she's made decisions, after my dad's death that are right for her, but depending on the optics, people don't see it that way. So she moved on relatively quick. When I say relatively, like, I think it was within 9 months of my dad passing, uh, maybe less, maybe 6 months of my dad passing. Um, she had another partner, and she moved the partner into our family home. Now, she's obviously got a void in her life that she needed filling, and she's decided to do that, and that's her prerogative. That's on her. I think the problem that caused with my dad's family was it was someone that they knew used to drink in the pub regularly. So they had then spark suspicions of, was this going on before my dad died? Was this a reason my dad took his own life? And only my mum and dad can answer that.
Yeah.
I'd like to believe it wasn't a reason, but my mum was punished for it by my dad's family. So then she tried to cope, and she turned to drink quite a bit. So she worked in pubs and stuff her whole life, so it was easier accessible. But then my two brothers were troubled and left home, and she's dealing with now two, rebellious teenagers leaving home and stuff. So I feel for my mum. She's had a tough run on it, and then she's I think she's been chasing that sort of affection and that gap, because she's now onto a third marriage. So
Well, it's funny that kind of, you spoke about the void and that, and one of the things that came up for me in terms of the affection was particularly when the second partner moved into the house. How did it impact you? How did that impact your brothers in that sense? And was there a sense of feeling displaced?
I think it impacted the three of us completely differently. I think the older two didn't like it. It wasn't the dad. They were very rebellious about it, to a point where the middle brother actually attacked them one day. Whereas for me, it was a father figure. I was 5, and what I
100%.
what I learned last year was, during the 5 years that my dad was alive, he'd moved back to Ireland for maybe 2.5 years of them, so he wasn't present. So
Okay.
after I was born, he moved away and he come back, and then he lived in a flat, and when I was like 3.5, he moved back into the house. Um, so I'd only had them for a small period. So when my mum met his second partner, he was a dad to me. He'd done everything a dad should do. Taught me to ride a bike, took me to play football, took me fishing. He filled that void. He was my dad effectively. Like, he was more of a dad to me than my actual dad was. Um, but like, my brothers used to turn on me over it, like little silly things. Like, I remember I was in a craft club, and we were making wooden plaques, and used to use this like little heated elements, and you'd burn onto the wood and you'd write things. And I know it's daft, but like, my mum's second husband was called Dave, and I couldn't spell Dave to the life of me. I couldn't think how to spell it. So I just put, I was making a plaque in my mum's bedroom. So I put mum and dad's room. Um
Yeah.
and my
Yeah.
two brothers just wouldn't let it go. Like, even to the point where it was me, um, turned around as a joke, like, but in my brother's wedding about 7 years ago now, he got all emotional, about my dad not being there. And I made a joke then about me dad couldn't make it down from Scotland because there was no trains on time, because he was my dad, you know what I mean? So, but yeah, so it's, that's how my brother sort of reacted to it.
You spoke earlier on about going into therapy.
Mhm.
How old were you?
When I went into therapy, well, I've been through therapy at different stages in life.
You know
Um,
what, Gary? Can I say excellent? I'm glad you said that. You know why?
Go on.
As a therapist, right? A lot of people think that you go to therapy and you just go at once and you're
No,
fixed.
it's
But
not.
what you, as a therapist, I think our roles as therapists is to provide a gateway to that journey of therapy. You may go back to the same one constantly, or you may go to different therapists, but it's really just a gateway when you first embark on it.
Oh,
Would you agree?
100%, 100%, because I'm 35 now, and I've been at least 20 different people in my life already.
Brilliant. There
I'm
you
not the
go.
same person. So at different stages in life, I need to vent differently. Um, so yeah, but I'd probably say I've been through maybe 4 proper chunks of therapy in my life at separate stages. Um, and they all did things differently. And I think,
Health.
yeah, the two most important was one when I was 13 years of age, and then one at the times, mad with COVID years, you forget where we were, but I'd probably say about 8 years. Is it 8 years ago? Yeah, 8 years ago now. They were probably,
2018. Yeah.
yeah, they were probably the two most important ones when I was 13 and in 2018 again, yeah.
If you can cast your mind back to being 13 and going into therapy, was that daunting for you? Was that how was that? Or was it a case of what the fuck do they know? Why am I sitting here? Or did you engage in it fully?
I think I took it in my stride and engaged in it. The one thing I did kind of struggle with was it was during school time, so I'd be taken out of class to go into it.
Go
Because
on,
it
there's a
was,
significance here, isn't there?
yeah, so it was the school who, so again, this is sort of, the school approached my mum and said, we think this is beneficial. And my mum was like, no, it's not. She was like shooting it down. Um, but the school still acted on it. But it was a mixture of obviously dealing with childhood trauma because my mum decided, right, and looking back now, I think it was a terrible decision by my mum, but she made that decision and she stuck by it. But I when I was transitioning to senior school,
Mm.
my mum didn't want me to go to any of the feeder schools where all my mates were going. She was like, not into them. I want you to go to a different school. And what happened, my two older brothers went to Nugent's and that closed down.
Yeah.
One went to SFX and one went to Cardleanan. So she was like, which one of them schools you want to go to? They're good schools. So at the time I was like, well, Stephen Gerrard went to Cardleanan. That's where I'm going. So I wanted to go there. Um, and I had a fight to get in. I got rejected, and I had to go through,
The
appeals and stuff.
appeals
And
and all that,
yeah,
yeah.
and eventually, I got in. And the night before I started first year, year seven, I bear in mind I knew nobody in the school. I was going from year six to year seven, first year senior school, with no friends or anything. The school's, tripling in size. It was quite daunting. I was quite anxious. And the night before, my mum sat me down and decided to tell me about the birds and the bees, and then tell me how my dad died. And she told me that my dad took his own life. She said, I think you're old enough now. You're going into the next chapter of life. I think you're old enough to understand. Um, but I don't think that was the right time because I was already massively anxious about this next chapter in my life.
Getting your
And
ex list down the fucking bogs in the
she
first
just
year and all
she
that.
just hit me with this, this
Oh, man.
bombshell.
Yeah.
And I had so many questions I wanted to ask, but I didn't know how to ask. Um, So yeah, again. I respect my mum for making that decision, and that was right for her. But yeah, I struggled with it for a while, which then that led to the sort of the school. I got given a mentor, and I met Tony, loved the fella. I think again, I don't know if he's because he was like a father figure. He took me under his wing, um, and he was the one who suggested getting into to therapy through school. But I was also going through some medical issues. I was getting like treated and tested for Crohn's disease at the time. So I had a lot of time in the hospital. So the school were like, you're dealing with a traumatic event as a child, going through some medical issues. There's a lot on a young mind that, we think there's my microphone gone. I think it's beneficial to talk to someone. So that's when therapy in school come into play. And yeah, I loved every minute of it.
Why was that?
I thought it just gave me a safe space to be able to talk to people on a level that you couldn't talk to your peers with. Like, as a 13-year-old kid, no one's interested in feelings or anything like that. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah,
playing
okay,
footy.
let's reframe that. We think no
Yeah,
one's
yeah.
interested
Yeah,
in
of
feeling,
course, yeah, yeah.
but
But
everybody's thinking about how they feel
you just
in
don't want
those
to talk about it.
teenage years, but we haven't got the vocabulary to talk about it.
Yeah, no, 100%. Um, it's a valid point. I've never even looked at it from that point of view. Um, but but it was also, I don't want to say I was led by a therapist, but they'd use the right vocabulary to unlock conversation. It empowered me to talk because I don't know how to vocalize my feelings at that time in life. I don't know what's the right thing. I don't even know how I'm feeling. I'm just feeling.
Yes.
And I don't know if it's hurt, if it's sadness, if it's pain. I don't know what I'm feeling. Is it happiness? Is it emptiness? So I'm just sitting there with this feeling, and I don't know what it is. So the therapist allowed me to sort of explore different avenues, and it was weird. Some therapy sessions were extremely painful, and you get upset. Some probably the happiest conversation you've ever had. It's a roller coaster. It's an absolute roller
Mhm.
coaster, but it's powerful.
And it feels like you buckled in and said, yeah, give me what you've got.
Yeah, 100%.
And what about your mates then because you're in school time, they're seeing you coming out of school. Oh, you fucking missing this lesson, you jammy bastard. This, that, and the other. You're going into these sessions and all that. Didn't anybody quiz you? Didn't anybody
Yeah,
say, "Tip, where you
everyone quizzed
been?
me.
What are you talking about? What do you talk about, even?"
Tried to hide it. I was just like, I didn't want to be like, oh, yeah, I didn't want to be like, oh, I'm talking about my feelings or anything. I was just like, oh, it's to do with the hospital. And that's all. Because people knew I'd call the hospital. I was like, oh, yeah, it's to do with that. I've got a shitty arsehole for IVF, that's all it was. That's all it was. It was mad.
But at the same time, there must have been, I'm assuming, this growth of your emotional intelligence, being able to articulate how you were feeling, being able to express your frustrations
Yeah.
and in a manner that I'm assuming superseded some of your peers or the most of your peers. And you'd probably start to maybe eke out, test the water with conversations that you had in therapy, but you could kind of test the water with your mates. Do you ever think like this? Do you ever think like that? Or does this happen for you?
100%. 100%. Because there was another lad um, who'd lost his dad young. Not as young as me, but he lost his dad young. And I was able to be there for him during that time. And I become a bit of a soundboard and kind of act like a therapist for him, allow him to have them conversations so we could have it, you know, face to face and have mature conversations about it. It was interesting.
No, as you're saying that to me now, how does that feel for you, reflecting that this is what I was doing, even at such a tender age?
It feels weird, you know, because like you suppress loads of sorts of memories and stuff. I never even thought it like that. I just thought I was speaking to my mates. Do you know what I mean? That was it. We were just talking about what was going on at the time. But yeah, looking back, it's a nice feeling to be able to be there for someone, innit?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And you've been doing it. And I dare say you probably underappreciate how long you've been doing it for.
Do you know what? It's probably true that. But that's, I say it's what I struggle with in adult life now. I love the sound of my own voice till I get on stage. Um, and I'll talk to everybody, and I like asking leading questions. Like the lads in work now, they give me stick all the time. So I'll come in and I'm like, "How was your weekend?" But I just start conversations, and they're just like, "What you asked for, lad? It's Monday in work." I'm like, I like to know. I like to know what you've been up to. If you had a good
Absolutely.
time,
Absolutely.
but then I, I feel like that's on my missus as well because I have a social battery that I expend throughout the day. So I'll be there for everyone. I'll talk to people. I'll take them on a path, let them open up, speak about how the life is and everything. And then I get home and I crash. I'm just like, I'm exhausted.
Yeah.
And then she's like, why do people get the best side of you? And then we get the worst side of you. She goes, I'm not saying it's a bad side, but you're not the
She's got a
same guy when
point.
we walk through the door. Yeah.
She's got a point. So let's talk about that then. Why is it that your mates, your peers get the best?
Um, why? I, again, I think it's a front. I think, and that's why I got into comedy because I've dealt with things with humor. Um, so it's a coping mechanism. I try and talk all the time, be loud so people don't see the real
The
Gary.
true you. Yeah,
Yeah, the true me. Yeah, I want to mask it. Um, and then I get home because home is a safe space.
absolutely.
I can be myself, but I'm that exhausted to home suffering
Okay.
because I
Let's
just I just go, "Do you know what, I'm done."
okay, let's just stay with that then. You've took a month off work.
Yeah.
That social battery hasn't been expended because you haven't met with your peers and all that. What does the missus then get from you in that time?
She gets a spring in my step. She gets everything.
Okay.
You
Okay.
know what I mean?
What does that look
Um,
like? Could you, do you know you're smiling now as you're saying,
yeah, it is.
telling me?
It's mad. It's acts of kindness. It's just things around the house. I'll get jobs done. I'm proactive. I'm tentative. Like when we're having like, to me as well. This is one thing we always speak about as a couple. So like, she wants to spend valuable time together, and whether that's just looking into each other's whites of the eyes and having a conversation. But for me, subconsciously, like I have to make an effort because to me, if we're both sat on the couch, she's watching telly and I've got my head in my phone, that's us spending time together because we're in the same room. But it's not. I'm ignoring it. So she just
100%.
she just wants a little bit of attention. So when I'm off work and I'm making that effort, I enjoy it. Like just before now, just before we've come onto this podcast, I've come home late from work. I've been busy all day in work. I've come home, I like my phone's my worst enemy because I doom scroll to death. I've walked in, I've not touched my phone, and I've just sat on the couch for 45 minutes with her, just talking about the day. And I just love listening to her. I love
Nice.
that she's a human, you know. So
Nice.
that's what I enjoy the most. But I need to make effort. That it
You need to
doesn't.
be mindful of that,
Yes.
don't you?
But what annoys me is I have to make effort to do that at home, but I don't in work and in
In
public.
work. Because
Yeah.
it's like it's
Yeah.
a bit like you're a it's robotic. You're an
Is it?
automaton. You
It's a second
know,
nature, isn't it? Yeah.
yeah, you know how to be in that environment, but the most important environment is that home life
Yeah.
and what's going on there.
And I think in the last 2 years, there's been a massive shift because when I got into comedy, so I started comedy now, I think 6 years ago. Um, and at the start, you're just trying to sort of find your voice, find who you are, hone your craft. And you've got a gig non-stop. So I was gigging 4 or 5 nights a week whilst working a full-time job and having 3 kids at the time. Um, I had a podcast where we record one night a week, but then I do all the editing. And Tim will know how shocker producing it is, so I do all the editing on my own. And then I had a radio show on KCC Live on a Monday night at 10
Okay.
o'clock. So
Kenny, yeah.
I was just spinning plates, and then I was just neglecting the family, and I was just I had blinkers on. I was just like, my missus was the most support and understanding. She was like, "This is your dream, chase it, but don't forget you've got a family as well." And I was like, "No, I won't." And then I think I got to a point where I was doing a Tuesday night in Newcastle, right? I 3.5 hours there, 3.5 hours back. I was on the motorway at like 2:30 in the morning. I was meant to be in work at 5:30. And I was like, I am going to be absolutely exhausted tomorrow. And then I'm not even going to spend any time with my kids after work. So I'm going straight to bed. I was like, is this actually worth it? Like, am I going to be a full-time comedian, quit work and change my kids' lives? Like, is that feasible? Is it worth, like, whenever I speak to anyone who's had kids and I say, like, any regrets in life, none of them say, I wish I worked more. They
No,
always say,
nobody,
I
no
want to
one
work
says that.
less. Yeah, I want to work less. I should spend more time with kids. And I was like, it like I've got to say, I've got 4 children. I've got two that are teenagers now, and they're not interested in you at all. It's
No.
hard work to get them for 2 minutes. So I'm like, that's a
100%.
very small window in time that you get to spend valuable time
100%.
with your kids. So
Can
I've
I just, that's interesting. Go on, finish that, sorry.
I was going to say the last couple of years, I've just pivoted now where I I'm confident in my ability as a comedian. Um, I don't need to gig for the sake of gigging. I I gig in gigs where it puts a bit of pocket money in my arse pocket, so I can have extra money. Um, if it's a great opportunity in front of a new promoter, um, or if it's writing new material, and then I set myself a target. I put a new solo show on now every year, and I set a target to write in a new hour. And then through the year, I'm just writing, running it, and just churning it out. And it's enough to feed me ego, um, but not too much to take me away from the things I love. So I'm in a happy place now. I really, really am.
Excellent.
So it's good.
That's great to hear that. Just going back to your kids, and particularly your teenage kids. I think there's some stat that goes round which says by the time your kids are teenagers, around the time of 18, you'll have spent 75% of the time that you're ever going to spend with them.
Scary, that isn't it?
Yeah, 75%. And it's like, for fuck's sake, where have I been?
Exactly. Because if I'm if I'm away, and the thing is, we've got 3 boys, and looking at it now with me and my bird, I spend all the holidays in their mum's house. So our boys are probably not going to be there when they're older because they're going to be
No,
with Pa.
you know
Do
that.
you know what I mean?
You know
Yeah.
that.
So scary that when you think of it, 75% of the time. Well,
Yeah. And I think it's, I don't know, I'm just thinking personally about my relationship with my elder kids and all that. And I think I'm making up for lost time. I think I
yeah,
had this night. Yeah, I know. So I had this ideal about wanting to provide, but having these set of values. And then I don't mind saying, my lad said to me a couple of months ago about, Dad, you do all this for other people, but what about you? And it kind of bit me in the ass,
yeah,
being this stoic type of person of like, oh yeah, Yinka, you'll fucking help anybody and all of that. But it doesn't put food on the plate. I mean, on the table,
yeah. It doesn't like.
you know?
It's
So it's
quite it's
about,
quite damning that, isn't it?
yeah, it is. That's the word, damning. And I told him that I've mentioned it a few times to people, and it's made me reflect.
Powerful.
But yeah, we spoke about mental health. We spoke about, suicide itself. And you do know you and your brothers are in a high risk category group, don't you?
Yeah, yeah. 100%.
How does that make you feel, being aware of that you are 80 to 300% higher than the general population to go on and die by suicide if you're not aware, if you're not present?
I think I can only speak for myself. I can't speak for my brothers. I know one of my brothers, my eldest brother, he struggles, and he's been at different times in life where he's thought about it. And I hate this word, but he's threatened it. Um, and he's not followed through. And whether that's a cry for help or not, I don't know. But with me, I think I flicked it a little bit.
Well,
So like because of me being in the risk factor of the risky group of taking your own life, um, I like talking about it more and more. To a point where I became in my last job, um, I became a mental health first aider through St John's Ambulance, um,
let's-
and I think the most sort of the thing that took me back the most, or by surprise during the training, was if you never see anyone and you've got any sort of suspicions of suicidal tendencies, suicidal thoughts, you've got to be abrupt and challenge them. That's what's on the card. It's, are you thinking
be
about
direct.
suicide? How have you thought about it? How are you going to do it? When are you going to do it? Um, and in where I was, there was it was a new sort of thing they were rolling out with mental health first aiders, and there was 6 of us, 5 of them, sorry, were senior managers and HR, and then it was just me. And I was an engineer, but I was one of the lads from the line. I was just a lad in production who worked his way up to engineering. So anytime anybody wanted to talk, they wouldn't go to the senior manager. They requested me. So I was inundated with people, because people were scared, if I speak up about struggling, I'm going to lose my job.
Didn't that tell you something about the culture, though?
Yeah, it's bad because
Didn't
it
that tell you about the culture?
because it just shows that all these big corporations, they're being forced to focus on mental health and well-being in their eyes, and it's not genuine.
You don't follow through.
No,
You
they're like,
don't
oh yeah,
follow
but
through.
they send all like, emails out about, oh, it's National Wellbeing Day and we're doing this for well-being, but then they nail someone for absence. It's difficult. I understand corporations have got to run by a set of rules, but it's one thing to preach and then not follow through on your word in it. So I think that's why I was the support mechanism for a lot of people. But it was
Okay.
difficult because there was a point where there was there's no time for me to sort of reflect or offload.
Brilliant. So what would happen then? Or what happens now then?
Um, I struggled. I struggled because there was an occasion where it was like 3 in the morning and I got a phone call from one of the lads on the line who was saying that he was on Runcorn Bridge and he didn't want to carry on. And he didn't take his own life, thankfully. But like to get a phone call outside of work and hours, and then something that's so raw because obviously I lost my dad to suicide, so it opened a lot of sort of wounds. Um, I had nowhere to go when I went to work. I didn't know who to speak to. Um, so I ended up speaking to the sort of global lead who enrolled this mental health wellbeing thing, and I was like, we need to have some sort of forum, some type of forum where we can actually offload in a safe space without breaking people's confidentiality. But that's important because otherwise we're just going to end up breaking the first aiders. And we did. We enrolled it out, and it was nice. The company through, I think it was through Aviva, is it, had some form of therapist who then come in and spoke to the first aiders and allowed them to sort of offload any sort of issues they had. But it was difficult. It was hard.
Dude, the lads on the line and that. I suppose most large corporations, they have EAPs, employment assistance programs that they can tap
Yeah,
into and all that.
yeah,
But
yeah.
are the lads and girls tapping into that? Are they getting that support? Are they accessing it?
Some are, majority not. Um, what I found really difficult because it's got to be non-judgmental when I'm in that position. I've just got to take it at face value, but you can see people who are playing the game, and that's what I didn't like because
Absolutely, absolutely.
pe- people are putting these programs in place for people to use, and people know they're on a final written warning and they're at risk of losing their employment. So they go, well, if I play the mental health card, I'm protected. And they come to you, and it's as if they're reading a script here about
Yeah.
suicide.
But don't you
And
challenge them on that though? Come on,
I
lad.
did, I
Yeah,
didn't.
yeah, 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 right. For me, we're having an honest conversation. Fuck the screen and all that. We're having
Yeah,
an honest conversation. When I used to work on the helplines, right, every talk about suicide you take seriously, but you've got to be able to feel comfortable and confident in yourself to equally be discerning.
yeah,
You've got to
yeah.
be. And it's some people are just swinging the lead because they're on a final writ one and then call it out.
Yeah, I didn't at first. I think out of maybe 5 or 6 occasions, I probably called out once, but that's probably because I felt comfortable with the person as well,
Yes.
because I had the previous relationship with them.
Yeah.
So that wasn't because I've gone, you know what, enough's enough. I think it's because I had a good relationship with that person and I could call them out a little bit. But I
Yeah.
struggled because, again, I was only young when I first became a mental health first aider, and when people are just again swinging the lever to go, well, this is me way out of this final written warning, and I'm sitting there going, in my mind, I'm like, as someone who's lost someone to suicide, who has had to go through the pain and the rawness of it, to just watch you absolutely spout shite in front of me,
Absolutely.
yeah, it's
Absolutely.
hard. But I'd signed up to an oath to say I'm going to be non-judgmental, and that's all I had in my head was I can't judge this person, so I had to just take it at face value. So, but yeah, but I think again, I've changed. The older I get, I can't suffer fools anymore. I used,
100%. We've all been
I used,
bit.
yeah, and I used to be a yes man, and I'd be like, oh, I just wanted to say things people wanted to hear. Whereas now, I've got no qualms in calling someone out. because I think it's the right thing to do.
100%. And on the flip side of all of that, we've got to be in a position whereby we can normalize having that conversation about suicide,
Yeah, got to be 100%.
because it might be the only time that we're able to have that conversation with somebody. So if our gut instincts is to say, I'm not sure about this, lad. They might have said that they're fine and all of that, but let me just push that envelope a little bit more. What do you mean by fine? What's actually going on for you?
Yeah,
You know?
and I don't think enough people are willing to have that conversation.
Again, I'll always use, you're not old enough to remember. I'm of a vintage to remember the cancer adverts. You're smiling there because I said you're not old enough.
Yeah,
But
that's a fine wine, okay?
I was going to add something to that, but I stopped myself. No, I was okay. Well, remember, well, you won't, but they used to talk about the big C as if they couldn't talk about cancer, as if it was a contagion. And now we'll see all these Macmillan adverts, tea and coffee mornings. We're all talking, singing, and dancing about it. And that's where we need to be able to talk about mental health and suicide.
Yeah.
That's how far we need to go. And we've still got.
I think there's a long way to go.
There is. And just Gary, just to add something, you said something that prompted me to say this now. Yes, some people access that support that's available and all that, but 7,147 people died by suicide in 2024, right? That's the most recent stats. 3/4 of them were not known to mental health services.
Yeah.
You know, that's people who we're talking 5,200 odd who were flying under the radar. Yeah.
Yeah. But
You know,
but is
go
that
on.
because they're not ready to talk, or because there's not enough out there for them to talk?
I think it's a combination of things, but personally, I think that in part they don't want to be seen as a burden.
Yeah.
I think equally as well, some of the support that's out there is shit. The
Totally
waiting
agree.
times, another thing.
Yeah, I've done it. I've went through went back to my doctors and said I needed therapy, and as a cost save, I went into group therapy. And I'm sat in a room with 16 people who are there for different reasons. Some are users, some are alcoholics, and they need that moment to talk. And I was just sat at the back of the room. I went for 2 sessions, and I'm sat at the back of the room, just watching people fight for the therapist's attention. And I was like, this doesn't work.
You know what? By virtue of the fact you even said cost saving, that says a lot about you in a fucking brilliant way.
Why?
Yeah. That's a sacrifice. Instead of having a one-to-one, you're prepared to go into a group setting to get that additional, even if it's a minuscule support, you're willing to do that. And it's like, that's not fucking okay.
No, no.
You deserve one-to-one.
Do you know what I do struggle with as well? And like I said about my mum. My mum lost her husband, and she was, pushed out by my dad's family. She suffered big time. And I had a breakdown about 8 years ago. Like I really struggled. I took like 8 months off work. Um, and I remember speaking to my mum, and I was like, the doctors have said I've got clinical depression. And that's someone who's fought mental health herself. And my mum's response was not the response I expected or wanted. My mum was like, just fucking man up, lad, you'll be sound. And I was like, if someone who's struggled with mental health herself can't even accept that someone's got mental health issues, like we're in a losing fight here, do you know what I mean?
And but we spoke about the generational impact and aspect of this.
Yeah,
You don't know what you don't know.
no.
And if you've
And
never
then,
been exposed to that support,
yeah,
you're always gonna
exactly.
repeat what's gone before you.
That's what you know, innit? And out of them numbers you've just said then about the 5,000 flying under the radar. It'd be interesting to see what sort of demographic they fall into, whether they're older groups, because they're not willing to talk or don't know
Well,
how to talk.
let's be honest. I can tell you straight away that the highest demographics, the main demographics for men, is the 45 to 59.
Wow.
Does that surprise you?
Yeah, because when you look at it, you you've gone through life. Whether you decided to have children, have your children early, you build your career. That should be your happy years where all the pressure's gone. You've built a life. The pressure should have already been alleviated now. You're coming into the retirement years, your mortgage is coming to an end, or you've struggled through your whole life. Like, how have you got this far to then make that decision? What's paining you so much?
Absolutely. Maybe there's a sense of being discontented.
And
There's a lady. There's a lady who's going to come on in a few weeks, Dr. Susie Bennett. She's been on here before, and she talks about why men die by suicide. It's really fascinating. I'd encourage you. She's been on before, so I'd encourage you to seek her out. She tells you about some of the reasons behind why men. I think she's got three brothers herself, so she talks really passionately about it, and it's important to her.
the biggest one for me, the problem is we can't ask the people who make that decision. And that's the biggest part. I seen a clip a few weeks back. There's a rapper, Professor Green, Stephen Man, that's
Yeah,
his
yeah,
name.
yeah.
He goes on Jamie Lang's podcast, and he's open. He lost his dad to suicide, and he said something that stuck with me. Jamie asked him, if you could ask your dad one question, what would you ask your dad? And he said, I'd ask him what it was that hurt so much. And it stuck with me. It resonated with me because I was like, if there was one question, if I could speak to my dad now once, that's all I'd want to know.
What
Is just
pain you
what pained you so much. It's mad.
can let me play devil's advocate on that. And if he was to give you an answer, would that suffice? Would that
I
be
think it,
enough?
I think it would, because I'm a firm believer of everything happens for a reason. And I wouldn't be the person I am today and have the four wonderful children I've got and the amazing fiance that I've got and the career path that I've got if that didn't happen. I don't I don't look back and go, I wish he didn't take his life, because as much as it sounds horrible, that's paved the way for me as the man I am today. And I'm satisfied with the man I am today. So I wouldn't want to change anything. But I just like to have an understanding as to why. I think that is satisfying enough.
Okay, I'm gonna add to that now then, because I was gonna ask you the question: do you like yourself? You've already answered it. I've got a question from Leon,
Okay.
who says, "Does Gary know the impact he's made on my life? His support and advice, being sort of a big brother to me when no one else wanted to. Gary's been there for me because I don't think he fully knows. Even when I've had dark days, Gary's been there. Don't think don't think if I never had his belief in me, honestly, I would not be in comedy now. He's one of the best lads I've ever had pleasure of calling a friend. Could you let him know for me, please? It would mean a lot."
I love that. I do. The thing is, with Leon, what what does my head in, right, is the comedy circuit. Like, it's full, excuse me French, of fucking crabs and idiots, right? It's the most frustrating circuit on this planet. the amount of egos and everything in there wind me up. Like, at the end of the day, we're all humans, and that's all
100%.
matters. All matters. Doesn't matter what background you come from, what personality you have. I can tolerate people differently. Some people can tolerate well, some people can't, but I don't ever judge you. And Leon, straight away, because he was a unique character who's had a bit of adversity in his life, people were judging him straight away and just like, don't give him a chance, or, push him away. And I was like, when he spoke to me, I was like, you're a fucking human. We've got unbelievable stories. Like, why wouldn't I? And he was surprised. He was like, why are you giving me time? I was like, why wouldn't I? I just didn't get it. Just didn't get it. So straight away, I was just open and honest with him. I give him advice on comedy, and I'm not in a position to give many people advice because I'm still learning. But if I can share a little bit of wisdom, a little bit of knowledge, I will. A bit of guidance. If I can give someone an opportunity, I will. But he's just a genuine fella. That's it. He's a man at the end of the day. So I just had time for him because he was just a nice fella. So I appreciate when he says, that I took him under my wing and that, but I just don't understand why anyone wouldn't. It baffles me. I'm not doing anything special. I'm doing what every person should be doing.
100%. And you know what? This takes me full circle to what I said right at the beginning. You get it. You absolutely get it.
Thanks.
No, thank you.
I
How's
appreciate
it
that.
been? How's it been
Do
for
you know
you
what?
and
I've
the Hurt Locker?
thoroughly enjoyed it. I think it's a powerful place just to have open, honest conversation. It's just nice. So thank you very much.
No, thank you. I'd love to have you back on again. Seriously.
100%. 100%. Come on.
Seriously.
There's so much more to dive into as well.
I know that. I know that. And you know what? No, I won't say it now. We'll make it happen. Look at
Speaking
that
into
smile of
existence, let's get it
that
done.
question. I kind
Okay.
of think I know what you're gonna say, but you can only pick one person.
Okay.
Who's the most important person in your life?
Oh, my partner.
I kind of knew you were gonna say that. What if I said
She,
the most? Go on.
she saved me. And
Mm, interesting.
I know you
Interesting.
shouldn't, because I know people, your children, it's unconditional love. It's different.
Yeah.
And I get judged for this all the time. Like, when people say, like, oh, you should never choose a partner over your kids. But without my partner, I don't have my kids.
Okay.
And I was troubled, and when I met her, so me 16-year-old daughter, she's not mine biologically, she's my stepdaughter. So my partner already had a child, so she was more mature than any other girl I was sort of meeting at the time, and she had to deal with shit because I wasn't the finished article, so she had to deal with the bad sides of me,
Yeah.
and she stuck by me, and we've been together now 14 years. We've got an unbelievable relationship. She works, she's got a fully fledged career, she works hard, and we work well as a unit. But it was something that was last year. We were on holiday, and our 15-year-old daughter, she was cringing because we were there, we like kissing and cuddling. She was like, I hate when you do that. And I was like, but isn't it nice that you've got two parents who are still in love and can show that they're in love? It's because I didn't have that growing up. It's nice to show that, and whenever we do bicker and have arguments, we show resolution in front of the children, and they understand that we don't always agree, but as long as you can work on it, it's the right thing to do. So yeah,
Brilliant.
definitely partner, definitely.
Okay. And as beautiful as that was, what if I said you were wrong? What if I said the most important person in your life is you?
Was me, yeah.
You're the expert of you. You know what makes yourself happy. You know what makes yourself sad. And only by attending to your needs first and foremost can you be fully there for the people whom you love and care for? And imagine this. Imagine if you took care of business for you. Imagine how much more richer and textured and layered that love and care would be for your partner, for your kids, and for all the other important people in your life.
Mm-hmm. And you know what? Subconsciously, I've been chipping away at that. And I think that's why our family dynamic is so much more healthier now. Because I've been making decisions for me without being selfish.
It's not being selfish.
Yeah.
It's not being selfish.
So yeah.
Gary, we're coming to the end now. You're not gigging tonight, are you?
No, I'm gigging Thursday. I'm doing loads of new stuff, so I'm gonna get my head into my laptop and just go through a few bits for Thursday.
Okay, so we'll finish recording. You'll do a little bit on your laptop, some more, and then you'll close your laptop and then snuggle down with the missus.
That's it.
10 o'clock, there's a little knock at the door,
Okay.
and it's 11-year-old Gary.
Well,
What do you say to him?
everything's gonna be all right.
Gary Hyland, you've been a great guest on the Hurt Locker. Thank you. And that's a wrap. Thank you for being on.
Thank you for watching. Remember, you are not alone. If you or someone you care about is struggling with their mental health, please see the contact information in this episode's description for further support.